Lord Heavenly Father, we ask that you come to this meeting with us and be here. We tend to be Christ followers and also very conservative, these people that come to this meeting. And we hope and we pray that we are doing your will and that you are actually guiding us through these events as we go forward in this meeting this evening. And ask that you would be with those two people, Barb and Troy, as they present their talk this evening, Lord. Just be with them and let them receive your gift of communication. We just pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And let's do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So this evening, the first speaker is Barb Luthi, and she's speaking to us about the state convention. She's going to fill us in for 30 minutes, and then we'll bring Troy up so that he can talk to the crowd also.
Hey, welcome everybody. Good to see so many people here and some new faces. And tonight I'm going to talk about what to expect at the state convention. That's the Republican Party state convention. First off, there's some familiar faces. Who all was delegates to the county convention? All right, we had a good number of people that were delegates to the county convention. Great. So it all starts back at the precinct caucuses. We pass resolutions and bylaw changes. Those go forward to the county convention. And at the county convention, we vote on the resolutions and bylaw changes that came from the precinct caucuses. Now, some of you might know, but it was kind of interesting what happened at the lower? Little higher.
Not in front of your mouth so you're popping your piece.
Oh, okay. We need to have some water, yeah. An interesting thing happened at our county convention. We had resolutions that were submitted from the precinct caucuses, and they went into a committee. So before the county convention, all the resolutions and bylaw changes go to a committee, and at the committee, they sort through and basically consolidate. If there's two resolutions the same, then they'll pick the same. But at the committee, especially the committee for resolutions, the committee decided on their own that some of these resolutions were not constitutional or were not, I don't know, didn't match up with platforms, and they just didn't submit them. They didn't bring them to the floor of the county convention. That doesn't usually happen, or at least it hasn't happened in my experience. And so we went through, but always at convention, you do have the option of bringing resolutions or bylaw changes from the floor. We did that. We brought those that they kicked out, we brought them back from the floor. There were about 10 of them. And we were getting through a time crunch and wanted to finish on time. So we were working through all the resolutions. We went through, voted all the ones that were submitted from committee, and we were working through the ones submitted from the floor. There happened to be two particular resolutions. One was to rescind the statute that exempts libraries and schools from criminal offense, of having obscene material. And the other one was a SOGI, same-sex orientation, gender identity bill. So those two resolutions, they put on the bottom of the pile.
Why would they do
Why would they do that? Because they didn't want them to come to the floor. They didn't want them past the executive committee.
And it was a coincidence that the time just happened to be when there was two left.
That's
Okay,
right.
my time's up.
There was two left, and they were gonna call time and not vote on those two, but thank goodness Scott Clem was wise enough, and he said, well, how many are left? Two. And he said, well, let's go ahead and vote on those last two. So,
He said, I challenge your decision.
yes, he challenged the chair's decision. And we did vote on those two, and they did pass. So, hooray.
Hooray.
Yes. So now we have our resolutions and our bylaw changes. You can find the ones that we passed on the Campbell County website, the Campbell County GOP website. You can find them there. Those will be the ones that will go again to a committee at state.
Okay, I went to look for the wording and verbiage of those 10 that we added on, and I couldn't find them on there.
Okay. And that is one thing I wanted to bring up, because I looked for the one that is actually Ben and I worked on the recension of the obscene material, and they didn't have the changed paragraph that we actually submitted. There was one change that we made before we submitted it from the floor. They didn't have that proper one in there. They also did not have the SOGI one listed on there. So I would advise any of you that had specific resolutions that were submitted from the floor, go out and look on the website. Make sure that the ones you submitted and got passed, that they're out there. And if not, let me know, because I'm going to send an email and let them know. CampbellCountyRepublicans.com. And, okay, so all of this stuff is going to go at the state convention. The state convention works similar to the county convention. These bylaw changes, any platform changes, resolutions will go to committees that meet before state convention. The actual state convention is the 7th, which is Saturday. These committees will meet Thursday, like the bylaws and resolutions, because that takes a while for them to work through those. They will meet Thursday and Friday. The platform committee will meet on Friday. And then there's also a credentials committee, which at the credentials committee, they will report to the state how many delegates we have, and if any of the alternates are being seated as delegates. And that's the purpose of the credentials committee. Okay, and in the committees, like Ben, I think you're an alternate on the resolutions committee, which is great, and you'll be working with John Bear, who is the delegate. And anyone can go to these committee meetings, you just can't always participate. And like the alternates, the delegates will be sitting there and they'll be making the arguments and voting. But if the delegate needs to take a break, the alternate steps in until the delegate wants to come back. And so you can switch in and out between the delegate and the alternate. So all of that will take place Thursday and Friday before convention. And then for the delegates, who's the delegate to state convention? I know we have a few. We have a few there. And actually, Priscilla, you'll probably be there anyway, right? Because you're pretty close to
I'm the
being.
first alternate, I think.
Yes, yes. And I'm a delegate. So at the convention, it will run, at the convention we'll have, we'll probably have, since it's an election year, we'll have speakers, the ones that are running for governor and probably representative. Those guys generally will speak before the convention, and then we'll get to the business and go through bylaw changes, probably platforms first, bylaws, and then resolutions, and try and get that all done. And there's some, like I said, and at any of these, people can come and watch and listen. You can only participate if you're a delegate or sitting on the floor. But you can, like if you want to come to some of the dinners, is it Friday night or Saturday night? When does James O'Keefe show up?
Saturday.
It's Saturday. Okay.
And that one is $35 for the delegates, and I think it's $150 if you're not.
100, I think I saw
Was
it.
it 100?
Yeah. Right. So as a delegate and an alternate, you need to get yourself registered on the website, on the state website, as a delegate and an alternate, and it's $175. That pays for your lunches, that pays for your dinner Friday night, and, oh no, Saturday is when James O'Keefe is there. Is that what we said? Okay. And we get a discount on the Saturday night banquet. Yes?
Barb, do you know if that's available on the state website to do that registration?
I don't know if it's up there yet. Yeah, I think they're still working on it. I haven't checked lately. Yes?
Can you tell everybody when and where?
Oh.
So everybody understands when this happens.
The committee meetings are Thursday and Friday, and the state convention is Saturday.
And what month?
May.
Oh, May,
5th,
sorry.
6th, and 7th.
In Sheridan.
5th, 6th, 7th,
Sheridan.
in Sheridan. And most of the committee meetings are at the Ramada, right, the Ramada Plaza. And for those that are delegates, if you have not received an email with a lot of these instructions, let me know, and I'll make sure we forward this to you. But hopefully everyone that is a delegate or alternate should have received an email. And actually, I could put this out on John Patriot too, for people that want to know the schedule and who the delegates are. Okay.
Barb,
Yes.
If a person just wants to go over and sit in on those committee meetings, do we have to pay, or, is there like a sub-registration fee, or?
Generally, you don't have to pay. You would probably sign in as a guest, and they would give you a guest tag, and then you could just go
If you want to
and attend.
participate in the meals or the James O'Keefe, and that's the cost.
Yes, yes.
And then who makes up those committees at the state? Is it like one representative from each county, or how?
It's a good question. So on the committees, like the platform committee, it has one delegate and one alternate from each of the counties. So I'm a delegate for the platform committee, and Chelsea Clem is the alternate. so we can switch in and out of that committee meeting. The resolution committee is John Bear and Ben Decker. Bylaws committee is Mary Horning, and we'll have to pick, it says Richard Horning, but that would not be accurate because he's actually an alternate and hasn't been seated as a delegate, so he's not able to fill that position. Credentials committee, Heather Hurd, Gary Becker. Oh, and there is a nominations committee, which is Heidi Gross. We've got Heather Hurd as an alternate. So I've been talking to them about it. It's like, guys, really, you don't want to weigh yourself down with all this stuff.
Who picks these?
Basically, the executive committee, our county executive committee,
Okay.
which will be Heather Hurd, Heidi Gross, Love Now. Yes,
It's time for a plug for precinct people.
yes, indeed, that is. Also, one other thing that we will do at the state committee, or the state convention, we will vote on national committee woman. Because Harriet Hageman was our national committee woman who represents us at the national level. And so she resigned when she decided to run for U.S. House of Representative. And then Nina Weber was voted on to fill the position till state convention came up. But now we will need to vote and elect a national committee woman, which I'm proud to say that Patty Junick is going to be running for that position. And so really that's how state conventions work, and it gets pretty exciting when you're in presidential years in 2024, because then you will vote on delegates to go to the national convention. And we'll be voting on people to represent us for like the electorates of who will vote for president. All that kind of stuff goes on, and that'll be next convention. So the conventions are pretty exciting. I've only done two, one down in Laramie and the one here in 2020. And you learn every time. You learn. And I would strongly suggest, though, that you go through the bylaws of the state party and really read through them, because that will help you understand the whole process and how the party works and what bylaws we try and follow.
Where would you get that?
This was actually given to me, but you can go onto the state website and download the platform, the bylaws, resolutions, all of that. And I think the state website, yes, wyoming.gop
Thank you.
is the state website. Okay, and again, it all starts back, as John Bear says, back at the precinct level. And we all have a precinct representative. I'm in precinct 1-1. There's one precinct committee woman and one precinct committee man. And you vote for the precinct committee person at the primary election. That'll be in August. But the best way to make sure you get elected as a precinct person is to get your name on the ballot. And you do that May 12th through the 26th, I believe it is. You go down to the county courthouse. They have a form that you would fill out to get your name on the ballot as precinct committee man or precinct committee woman. Isn't that amazing? They're very gender specific. I love it. It's a man or a woman, so.
Not even a
Causes a lot of confusion now.
I don't know what's a woman.
Been fighting that all my life.
Explain the responsibilities of the precinct committee man and woman, so everybody understands that.
Okay, the precinct committee men and women basically is to run the business of the party. You are your representative of your precinct. You represent your precinct at the county level. There you vote on a state committee man, state committee woman, and the chairman. They represent the county at the state level. And all of these, and we try and we want to have conservative, very good platforms, principles that we live by as a party and that we believe. And we, as a party, we want to elect people that are principled and that will stand by the platforms of the party.
And is there a monthly meeting now? There used to not be back in the
There's,
80s.
right, statutorily, I think there's maybe 2 meetings that are statutory requirements. But probably several years ago, they just started meeting more often. Now, the state central committee meets generally quarterly. And countywide, they've met pretty much monthly or every other month. It's just, that's kind of been dependent upon the executive committee and what the executive committee wants to do. Yeah. Okay. So, do we have any questions? See if Lyle's like, I guess it is about my time.
Yeah, you still get one time.
I do have one question.
Okay.
Will there be a website we can go to look at the resolutions and bylaws that other counties passed? Bylaw changes?
You know, in the past, there has not been, and when I was on the bylaws committee in 2018, they sent that information to the delegates and alternates on the actual committee. That was really the only time that I saw all of that information. I don't think they put it out on the state website. Now, you could probably go to each county website, perhaps, and they might have it out on their county websites.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
For Ben's case sake, I've asked the state central committee or at least the executive, to try to get whoever's going to be the head of our committee to narrow that down before we even get there.
Okay,
Because there'll be a lot of duplicates.
all right.
We'll be working the whole time.
Yes. Yes, the resolutions committee is the busiest. And again, in 2020, when I went to a convention in 2018, they had some guidelines in the resolutions committee. They said, and in resolutions it's broken down into 9 different categories. And out of the committee, they said only 9 or 10 resolutions in each category could come out of committee. So the committee narrowed it down pretty drastically. And this last time in 2020, I don't think the committee did that. I think they just passed everything, and that was a zoo. That didn't work well. Yeah. So it is, the work of the committees is really important. Yes, Patty?
I remember at the 2020 convention, we had a lot of shenanigans being pulled by the frontiers, and the resolutions did not all get heard, and they had to end the convention. And so this year, I believe that they said they're moving that to the beginning of the convention, so all resolutions will be heard.
I don't know if that'll happen, but that may be what they try and do, but
Well, that's what Frank Heathorn said.
he's gonna try, but I seriously doubt it. Because they always go through the pomp and circumstance at the beginning of a convention where you hear from the candidates that are, you know, especially since we've got candidates running for governor, which I just met a new guy running for governor. So right now running for governor is Mark Gordon and Rex Rammel.
Bien. His last name is Bien.
Bien, muy bien.
I can't remember his first name.
Brent
There you go.
Bien. He is out of Sheridan, and I did get a chance to talk to him today. I was pretty impressed. I think he will be a good candidate to really check out and make sure he's a statesman, not a politician. He's got a lot of military background. So that's one more out there to look at, one more option, hopefully. Okay. Any other questions? No? Awesome. Okay. Thank you guys, and hopefully we'll see quite a few of you in Sheridan at the state convention. All right. Thanks, guys.
So, our finish is up in good time, so we can bring up Troy McEwen, and he can visit with us about what happened and what didn't happen at the state legislature session this last time.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time and interest as I described round 2 of the circus down in Cheyenne. It was an interesting session. We broke some rules, took matters into our own hands. We stripped the senator of his committee assignments without going through the Article 22 process. And probably I'm bringing some of this up. As we head into election season, it's time to get some people out. And we need to go after some of the top guys and chop the head off the snake. We keep kind of getting some of the tail, and I'll start out with, we had 5 bills, 5 really good bills. First one I want to talk about was crossover voting. Bo Biteman wrote that bill. We came to the Senate, got through committee, and it got through the Senate, and then it went down to the other chamber, where it kind of lingered for a while. And then, I don't know if you guys ever heard this guy named Trump.
Yeah.
He made a phone call and said he wanted it to be heard. So it went to a committee there. They brought it back to the House floor with a recommendation of do not pass.
Really?
I didn't even know you could do that, so I learned a little more this time. The people can be changed. So we need to be careful how we vote this year, because that was another one. We had I ran a critical race theory bill, and it got through the Senate on a 24-4-1 vote. It went over to the House, where it lingered and lingered and lingered. And 9 days later, we finally assigned it to the Education Committee Chairman in the House, where he duly put it in the drawer, and we didn't even talk about it.
A Democrat?
Huh?
Was he a Democrat?
No. It's
So
for
you're
not
voting?
Democrats.
Thanks to Barlow.
Those are called rhinos.
Tram.
No, I know rhinos, but I mean, don't we control the House? Don't we control the Senate?
Apparently not.
Have you seen that movie?
Really?
Really?
Have you ever seen that movie, The Color Purple?
Yeah.
That's us. Or it would seem like. So that didn't get heard. We had no chance to get that passed. And we had a couple others. I had a bill that we put together, and we worked on this for about a year, to require the legislature to approve receiving federal funding, to make the legislature responsible for looking at it and figuring out what the strings attached were. That vote started out, we were at 21 or 22 ayes. A member of the Senate then got a phone call and went around the corner, came back in, and 8 of the aye votes changed their vote to no. We literally did not send a contentious bill to the governor this year. Anybody want to guess why? Election season. So everything that went forward was very carefully crafted. And once again, I'm going to tell you, this is just my opinion. But if you watch some of this stuff, I think you'll see what happened. Guess what else reared its ugly head in 3 or 4 different places? Medicaid expansion. We tried to tuck part of that in a budget bill. We tried to tuck part of it in another bill. Fortunately, we fought that one off.
Good.
The budget. Gee, that was fun. We were going to put, what was it, John, 400 million in the savings account?
Mhm.
So the appropriations committees got together and they played their favorite game, tax and spend. Not only did we not save any of the ARPA funds, we went further on and dipped into savings to spend some more money. Once again, elections are coming up and it's critical, really critical. Saw some things I didn't think I'd ever see. Anthony Bouchard was stripped of his committee assignments because a lobbyist said he was picking on him. A lobbyist. I was out there for most of the conversation, and I know what was said. He told him he was going to replay what he had said at a committee meeting, and he took that as a threat. So they stripped him of his committee assignments because he was fighting back. One senator actually stood up and said, "I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know why we're doing this. I don't know anything about this." And then she promptly voted yes to remove her from the committees. So there's a lot of people working on a lot of candidates right now across the state. And we're going to try to get a packet put together for everybody and get you some ideas of who to go look at and what areas we need to shore up. I think one of the big ones is House District 1. That has to get changed.
Where is that?
Who's that?
Driscoll.
Driscoll.
Senate.
Senate, excuse me. Thank you. Senate District 1. They pick and choose bills. They decide what we hear, they decide what we don't hear. We had enough time to hear every bill. We got through most of them, except for the ones they didn't want to hear. And then we spent hours towards the end just sitting in a chair, waiting for the adults to decide what we're going to do next. And we just kind of felt like we sit at the kiddie table. There's this other thing going on. It's called political capital. The The definition of political capital is simply whosever name is on the bill is more important than what's in the bill. So if you get the right co-sponsors, it doesn't matter what the bill says, it flies through. Bring up numerous examples of that. I don't mean to sound quite so negative. I'm still excited about the future. I think there's quite a few Senate races we have a chance to win. And for the first time this session, we actually got conservative legislation through the Senate and over to the House. Didn't go much further once it got there on some of it, but we actually got some of that done. So we're starting to have an impact. And I think if we can take 3 or 4 more seats, we'll be even a bigger force. In fact, my favorite fan club, man, I like it because they like to write about me.